Hey guys, I just want to upload another Euro USD video. I know I uploaded a macro analysis video about a week ago, and I just want to follow up on that because I think we're still operating around the same area of opportunity that I identified in that previous video. And, in case you didn't see that video, just to rehash what I went over previously, in this, for a period of a few years, about 2 years, you have a relatively orderly downtrend leading into the March 2020 Black Swan event. And right here, you see price start to whip around on a weekly time frame, which is pretty unusual. I mean, you typically see these types of whipsaw patterns on the lower time frames, but to see it coming in on a weekly time frame is pretty unusual. And it's a sign that something big is happening there. And obviously, this was the March 2020 event. Maybe you were trading that, maybe you weren't. If you were trading that, you kind of were aware that that was a big event, and it did have some pretty drastic implications on the market. First of all, this price action whipped around so much that it took a lot of people out of the market before making this massive macro counter trend move. And ultimately that topped out in reverse, but we're coming back to that basing point, and that's a very significant area because this is not just any low in the market. This is a very significant pivot point in the market, and we're coming back there. So if we just, I typically like to start from the high time frames and kind of work my way down when I'm doing any analysis. So I guess we'll just start at the monthly, and you could put a horizontal here, um, kind of see we're approaching that level. Go to the weekly chart. You can see the same idea, right? You kind of get your point of release right here. Price lifts off, comes down to that level. Go down the daily chart. You can see here, price kind of whips around a little bit, contracts, and then volatility expands. Basically, here's the low right before your lift off. So it's relatively that level. Um, Again, so we came down based off it and came up and, sold off this weekly low here. So you got your point of release right here. Again, we could just mark it off like this, maybe go down to a daily chart. You can even see it a little better on this. But yeah, you see, price really takes off from there, comes down, price comes down, hits it, rallies up into this level here. Now, again, that's typical. This is very, very standard behavior. It's not unusual for price to run up into that level right there, and free to get a reaction off it. Um, but even with that, seeing that happen, this reaction, prices come down and based off this level, return to this point of release. Now, just because price returned to that level, it's still valid because it's a very high time frame level. So you have this macro uh, area right there, and again, if we look at a monthly, you can see that it's still within operation. Now, let's go on the right side of the chart and see kind of what's going on at this level. You have this, you make a high, a higher high, another higher high, and then you kind of get this run down below this level. And this is the real area where I would kind of pay attention to because this is the area where you could, get, as volatility expands, things can get a little erratic on the lower time frames. So this is the kind of area where I would be looking for some type of reversal, again, with the context in mind that we're at this macro level, right? That we identified on the left side of the chart, which is this 1.08 level. 1 point. You could even, whether you want to round that up or down to a big figure, that, that's up to you, but it's roughly that level. And you can kind of see that, price is coming in there. Um, I don't know if you're somebody who trades RSI, but RSI is coming down, and then you're getting divergence put in around this macro level. That's typically very common to see. Um, you know, Whether or not we use the RSI to identify that, typically you just see that type of behavior anytime you're around a macro level. But we don't have confirmation on that until we start taking out the highs here, and that would roughly be these highs right here. So it's not really operable yet. And again, we're keeping in mind this is a macro, very, very high time frame level. So it doesn't, demand a reaction immediately. You could, it could take its time around here, really base off this level. Volatility could dry up. But at least in the immediate time frame, I would be looking at this high right here. And, you see here, price, move very, very impulsively away from these highs. So if price were to rally up above these highs, I would be pretty confident in looking for price to at least mount a short-term rally and fill this gap up here. So I would be looking for a rally up to, it first to 1.102, hit this level right here, and maybe pull back a little bit and then rally a little bit higher and fill this gap up here. And so what would that look like on a daily? Well, you could have a type of scenario where this is your new trading range, right? You got your highs, so price move up to this level, sold off, and then pushed a little bit above it up here to create this new range. So, this might be price could, assuming these short-term highs get taken out, operate within this range with this macro base for a while. And that would kind of line up with what we kind of expect around a high time frame level, right? It's not going to play out instantly. A lot of times, you'll have a downtrend run into the level, and then it kind of collides with that level, and then volatility sort of dries up, and you get a type of ranging behavior that kind of bores everybody and shakes out the market on both sides. And then you get a period of volatility contraction where everybody gets bored, and then you get your expansion. Um, so that's kind of what I'm looking at in the market now. As far as what's very operable right now, in the intraday setup, again, I took a long down here, took most of the profit off up by these levels. But again, if these highs get taken up here, then I would look for a little bit of a more sustained rally, at least on the short term, up into this, 1.05 level, roughly 1.05, maybe all the way up to 1.08. And we'll just go from there. Yeah, if you guys like this video, just make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and keep an eye out for new uploads coming through.